My wife and I have a daughter named Madison who's 20, and recently had a baby girl a few weeks ago. I wasn't thrilled about it, but my wife and I have been supportive. She still lives with us, so we've all had to adapt to having a baby in the house. My wife and I also have two other children, one of whom, Ryan, is pre-tween and has terrible ADHD. He's very energetic, and is always running around the house making noise. We're all used to his behavior and have never had a problem with it, until Madison brought a baby into the house. Everything was fine until Madison started complaining to my wife and me that Ryan was repeatedly waking up the baby by making loud noises and barging into her room to look at her and trying to wake her up from her sleep to play with her. She had complained about it a few times, so I told Ryan that he needs to keep in mind that the baby is trying to sleep, so he has to calm down a bit. He seemed to understand what I was saying. I also reminded Madison that Ryan can't help how he behaves and is naturally loud and full of energy. I heard nothing about it for a while, so I assumed that it would be sorted. However, one afternoon while I was in the kitchen, I heard shouting coming from upstairs. I went up to see what was wrong and found Madison angrily shouting at Ryan, who's in tears. I asked her what was going on, and she explained that once again, Ryan had barged into her room shouting while the baby was sleeping, and had woken her up. I told her that I didn't care what Ryan had done because it was no excuse for making him cry. She obviously didn't like that I wasn't on her side, so she started criticizing my parenting skills and saying how I needed to start disciplining Ryan properly. I snapped back at her and told her that if she didn't want to deal with Ryan, she shouldn't have had a child in my house. I also told her that if she didn't like it, she could leave. She stormed off and has been avoiding speaking to me since, which I think is quite petty, but it is what it is. Am I the one in the wrong here? What do you mean he can't control how he behaves? A medical condition isn't a free pass for him to do whatever he wants, or for you to let him. You're the one in the wrong, 100%. Your son deserves better than to be allowed to use his disability as an excuse. If Ryan's ADHD is so severe that he can't understand not to wake up a sleeping baby, he has serious issues that need to be addressed. There's something wrong with Ryan. There is something wrong with Ryan, and you should show more compassion towards the young woman who has just given birth and is struggling with postpartum and intense hormones while also being sleep deprived. It's probably a case of the boys will be boys approach to parenting. Ryan has free reign of the house while Madison has to either accept it or leave. This makes me wonder what other differences were present in the past and how they have contributed to Madison's current situation. At first, I was slightly on Ryan's side, a new baby in what is essentially his childhood home and with lots of energy. However, my opinion changed when OP revealed that Ryan burst into his sister's room without knocking while the baby was asleep. OP, do you and your wife even try to parent Ryan? The daughter was likely pregnant at 19, so there probably wasn't a lot of parenting going on in general. Is Ryan just naturally full of energy? All I can think about is the physical and emotional toll, as well as the potential damage to both the daughter and granddaughter stemming from improper sleep. That boy will turn into an entitled monster of an adult because he'll grow up hearing that his rude and crappy behavior is acceptable. To me, it seems like he's punishing his daughter by letting his son run wild. The only thing he said about her is that he's disappointed, and he doesn't even seem to care about his grandchild. Dude, we know you're using Ryan's ADHD to cover up your disappointment with your daughter having a child. Yes, she should get her own place if she can, but you're just using your son to mask the fact that you dislike your daughter having a baby at 20. My wife, 38 female, and I, 39 male, have been married for 15 years and have 3 kids, 2 tweens and a pre-tween. My wife's younger sister, Anne, 36, currently lives in Florida with her girlfriend and 2 kids, a teenager and a tween. The teenager is gay and Anne's girlfriend is obviously not the father of her kids. Anne came out as bisexual about 5 years ago and divorced the father of her kids. I don't know many details about her divorce, but I do know that she was granted primary custody of her kids after a long and tumultuous custody battle. Last weekend, my wife came to me and said she needed to talk. Apparently, Anne's landlord has either refused to renew their lease or increased the rent to the point where Anne can no longer afford it. My wife wasn't sure. As a result, they have to move out of their house by June 1st. Additionally, due to recent political events in Florida, Anne wants to move her family out of state. My family lives in a Midwest state with a much more LGBTQ+ friendly atmosphere. Anne told my wife that she and her girlfriend have agreed to move their family to our state. Staying in our state would be a good move for them, but given the short timeline for their housing situation, they are up against the clock. So, Anne asked my wife if they could stay with us while they found a place to live. I told my wife I had a lot of reservations about that idea. We only have one extra bedroom, so sleeping arrangements would be difficult and would probably involve moving kids into rooms together. Also, I currently work from home, and my office space is located in that extra bedroom, so my work situation would be directly impacted. I don't have a physical office to go to for work. Additionally, the housing market in our area is tough right now. Houses are going for above market price and selling fast. The rental market isn't any better. All of this leads me to believe that if Anne and her family come and stay with us, it won't be short term, and the people most directly impacted by this would be our kids, not my wife and me. I explained all of this to my wife and told her I didn't think it was a good idea. I told her I felt bad for the situation Anne and her family are in, but she's asking a lot of our family, and I don't feel like we're in the proper position to take them in. My wife didn't like my response one bit. She accused me of not caring about her sister, and that we had taken my brother and his family in short term before. This is true, but a vastly different situation. My brother was renovating his home, and we were given a concrete time frame for their stay. The work permit for their renovation had an end date by which the work needed to be completed, so we knew exactly how long they would be staying. They ended up staying a week less than expected, and at that time, our two youngest were still sharing a room anyway, so we had 2 extra bedrooms, and I wasn't working from home. She sees this as me playing favorites with my family versus hers and thinks I'm being unreasonable. You are not being unreasonable. Please reconsider. Your sister-in-law is living in a place that has become dangerous for her family. These are exceptional circumstances. It's gonna be chaotic, disruptive, and crowded, but it will definitely be temporary. If it's too disruptive for you to work from home, perhaps you can go to a cafe, a co-working space, or even your lovely air-conditioned car in the driveway. Work with your wife to set up some procedures and logistics. Make it fun for the kids. Camping in the bedrooms, yay! Be kind. Don't add to the trauma. And regarding housing, sometimes things work out. My husband and I found a place and closed within 3 weeks in a market with a 3-month lead time. Working from a car? Are you high? OP has no room in his house for an extra person, let alone 4, for an indefinite period. He has not mentioned that he is supposed to be helping them find a rental, but it seems that they and his wife do not want that, so they can save money. They can easily find a rental online, only needing guidance on suitable areas. OP's marriage and family are also at stake here, and it is obviously a high priority, as it should be. OP, you are not the idiot. You have clearly and convincingly explained your reasons for declining to let them stay with you. You have also distinguished between this situation and the one with your brother in several significant ways, such as the finality of the timeline, lack of space, and work circumstances. I understand that your wife wants to help her sister, but this does not seem like a reasonable request to me. You are right that you and your children will be most affected by this. If the housing market is bad, their temporary stay could become indefinite. My 25-year-old girlfriend recently took in her nieces, a toddler and a tween. We had agreed on this beforehand, but we also decided that I do not want to take on a motherly role. I will help out when needed and make sure they have what they need, such as clothes and toys. I also spend time with them on weekends when I have the time. For now, my girlfriend has reduced her hours at work, while I work 5 days a week with different shifts and at different locations. So 3 days a week I'm out from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and 2 days a week I am out from 7:20 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I have considered asking for extra hours on those 2 days, but that would also include travel time. The money is good and we are comfortable, but I earn most of it, which means I cannot reduce my hours, nor do I want to, even if I am exhausted. When I got home the other day, the toddler immediately needed my attention, so I gave her a hug and told my girlfriend I was going to take a shower. When the older one tried to talk to me, I told them that I would be off on Saturday and we could spend the day together at the zoo. But my feet hurt and I wanted to take a bath. It was 9 p.m. and they should have been in bed. I do talk to them, but on that particular day, I had a long day due to someone not showing up. After my bath, I tidied up the house a bit and went to bed. My girlfriend was a little upset with me and called me an idiot for not even spending 5 minutes talking to the children when I got home. And that I could have gotten in the bath afterward, knowing they're going through a lot right now. He didn't even join us at the zoo, saying that I need alone time to bond with them since I absolutely refused to cooperate during the week. And he's saying his family is calling me an idiot and he wants to clarify how he feels when he goes to therapy next. Am I the idiot? Edit, I'm the one who gets up nearly every night when the youngest has nightmares. I'm the one they go to when they want to cuddle. And I'm the one who helps with reading or homework. I'm just not comfortable being called mommy. I'm not comfortable doing school runs or speaking to teachers. My schedule wouldn't even allow it. I'm not comfortable calling out sick if they're sick. I don't make their lunches or tuck them in, but I'm still present, just maybe not in a mommy way. But that doesn't mean I'm not there. Their mother is unfit, and their father doesn't want anything to do with either of them. Not the idiot. Your boyfriend is trampling all over your boundaries by expecting you to co-parent after you made it clear that you don't want to co-parent. This living situation is not going to be sustainable. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree to it or not, your boyfriend will expect you to co-parent and will continue to get angry at you when you don't. Agreed, but his goal isn't for you to co-parent. His goal is for you to become the default parent. Then he won't have to do anything. You earn money, tidy the house, and make him look like a saint with his family by taking care of the kids. He's a lazy, manipulative bum. He even says you need time to bond with them, making it crystal clear he expects that of you. He has massively overstepped here and outright disregarded your boundaries. I love his family calling you an idiot, but you're the one taking care of children who aren't related to you. What are they doing to help? Are they coming to babysit? Contributing financially? Taking the kids on vacation? Tell them it's time to pitch in. Realistically, this situation isn't going to work for any of you. No matter how hard you try, there's no way to avoid playing the role of mommy with them living with you full time. If you don't want to be a parent, which is understandable, remove yourself from this situation now. In the long run, it'll be better for you, your boyfriend, and the kids. If you stay, you will end up resenting them and your boyfriend. My daughter has been attending the same summer camp since she was 7. Her mother and I separated when she was a tween, and we split everything evenly and always paid half and half for her camp. We never intended for it to be a long-term thing, but she made friends and they always look forward to seeing each other every summer. Summer. Back in October 2021, I came home to my daughter with a friend I had never seen before. She introduced her as a friend from camp. She was in the area because her family was going to Disney World. Both my daughter and her friend were very excited to see each other. I was apprehensive about having a stranger in the home, but she stayed overnight sometimes. One day, while cleaning my room, I realized I couldn't find an envelope I had received from the bank a few days prior. After tearing apart the house and not finding it, I concluded that it must have been my daughter's camp friend who took it. I never lose things, and it was strange that I lost money during the few days a stranger from across the country was in my house. I was livid, and when my daughter finally came back, I asked her about it. She told me to lower my voice because her friend was also present, and they didn't see the envelope. I confronted her friend, who got overly upset and claimed that her family was wealthy and she didn't need money. My daughter defended her, saying that they were never apart, so there was no way her friend could have taken the money. Regardless, I told her that her friend was not welcome in our home and had to leave. This caused a huge argument with my daughter, who didn't speak to me for weeks. She even refused to agree to our custody agreement and stayed at her mother's house for months. Eventually, we started talking again, but it was awkward and short. Then, in the summer of 2022, her mother asked me to pay for half of my daughter's summer camp, but I refused. Why would I pay for my daughter to stay with a thief? This caused another huge fight, and my ex ended up paying for the entire camp that summer. My daughter hasn't spoken to me since and refuses to come over. Recently, I decided to sell my car, and before doing so, I did a deep clean and ended up finding the missing envelope in my trunk. I was confused about how it got there, but I was relieved to have found it. I felt terrible about the situation with my daughter, so I texted her to let her know that I found the money and apologized. We spoke, and she asked me to apologize to her friend on a three-way call, which I did. My daughter then said that to make up for it, I needed to pay for all of her camps, just like her mother did last year when I refused. I was taken aback and said no, I would only pay for half. She got upset again, saying it was the least I could do after refusing to pay last summer and blaming her friend, which embarrassed her. I realized that I was the one in the wrong, and that I had treated my daughter's friend poorly without any proof of wrongdoing. I also put a financial burden on my ex over this issue. I am truly sorry for my actions, and I understand that I was the one who made a mistake. And even now that you know you were in the wrong, you're not doing the bare minimum to make up for that. I'm glad you apologized to the girl, but the least you can do is pony up the whole amount next year. You made many massive mistakes here and want to pretend none happened. That's not how it works. You need to own up to your mistakes and make them right. Part of that is paying for what your ex covered last year, because it was a mistake to make those accusations and not pay. It was a mistake to make those accusations and not pay. Maybe then you'll learn that you do make mistakes, and in the future, you'll consider that you could be at fault before accusing children of taking things you misplaced. Your ego is going to ruin your relationship with your daughter, so pay for camp and keep it pushing. Is this the hill you want to die on with your daughter and ex? Also, just out of curiosity, while your daughter was staying with her mom for months, did you pay her mom child support, as you should have? I doubt it. The OP values money over his relationship with or care for his daughter. When I was 12-ish, my dad accused me of going into his room and stealing his glasses. I hadn't stolen a thing in my life until that point. I rarely even got into trouble. But the man swore I had to have snuck in there and stolen them, because he always puts them on his nightstand. They were on top of his TV, right next to his nightstand. I've never forgotten it, and he never apologized to his nightstand. OP's kids will never forget, unless it's turned into a positive growth experience.